UFC 299 is complete as Sugar Sean O'Malley puts on a masterclass performance to defend his belt, defeating Chito Vera by decision. Also, a lot of stuff happened last night, like Dustin Porier knocking out Benoit St. Denis. But before we dig into all the drama from last night, let's first talk about Sugar Sean's performance and what's next for him. One of the big topics after the fight was that he called out Ilia Topuria to go fight in Spain. And then we saw a video backstage. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but he basically shrugged off Merab and he said, "Hey, like Merab's like, why'd you not call me out or you need to call my name out?" And he basically shrugged off Merab. So before we dig into the card, we're gonna first start off with basically what's next for Suga, and then how do you guys feel about his performance last night?
I was impressed. Yeah, I was coming into this a little bit of a hater. I don't know why. I honestly don't know why, but I was being a little bit of a hater, and I was really impressed with what I saw. I thought that he put on a very clinical performance, but the thing is here, he's avenged that loss. We closed that door. I think now it's time for him to clean out the division. So just in regards of like what's next, as much as I do think it's a really sexy matchup, him and Ilia Topuria is cool. That's an interesting fight. But I kind of want to see Sean. First of all, he's got to fight Merab. Merab is like lurking in the shadows, dude. He's got to get this match. He's got to do it. And at that point, you've also got other people in the weight division. We got Umar Nurmagomedov. We got Corey Sandhagen. I mean, there's people that are ready. I don't even really think Corey needs another fight. I think he's ready. Also, after last night, I'd be up for a Pyetr Yan rematch. I mean, he looked good. You know, he's kind of got his sauce back a little bit, although it was a questionable first round. He kind of survived that fight. I'm not so sure he looks super impressive, but at least he's back in the saddle again. But yeah, I need to see those fights first. You guys feel like we need to get a 145 right away, or is it a step too far?
I agree with what you said. And Pyetr Yan, just to touch on that, in my opinion, he didn't look too good. Like he looked slow, he looked hesitant, he looked afraid. He wasn't confident, he wasn't aggressive like he usually is. Like against Jose Aldo, like that fight where he just like ran through him and demolished Jose Aldo. He wasn't that kind of fighter. I don't know if it's because he's on the losing streak. I think he got finished one of his past few fights, but he's not confident like he used to be. He's not just like a murderer just coming to just hit the body shots, like just spam leg kicks to the body, things like that. He looked a little hesitant, and I think O'Malley could definitely touch him up like he did against Chito Vera last night. But I think Merab is, of course, the fight. That's the fight to make. And I think Sean knows that. I mean, you can't duck somebody with so much. And he's ducked him as much as you possibly can duck somebody. So, like, yeah, Ilia Topuria, that'd be a banger fight. Like, that would be insane. But you have to defend your belt 3 times. We talked about that last episode. You have to do 3 times to defend your belt before you can move weight classes. That should be your 3 defenses, and then we can try something else. He's had 1 against Chito Vera, who arguably shouldn't even have been in that fight. You know, he's not. He beat Dom Cruz, who's like 45, and he's like lost. He's not. Dom hasn't won a big fight in I don't know how many years. So he's not. He hasn't had many big victories, but he got a title shot because he beat O'Malley with that fluke fight a few years ago. What else? Yeah, he looked sharp, man. He looked sharp. And this is the one fight where I don't want to say I wasn't a hater because I don't love O'Malley as a person. I think he tries hard to get attention, but that's the name of the game these days. But I thought he would do what he did last night against Chito Vera. I really did. When he fought Pyetr Yan, I thought Pyetr Yan would walk through him and destroy him and expose him. But he beat Pyetr Yan, arguably. And then, of course, he got the fight last night. And he did how I thought he would, man. He looks sharp. He's really talented in the striking department. He's a sniper. He's like MVP a little bit. They're just snipers. They just come out of nowhere and just, boom, there's a right hand, left hand, a kick, spinning heel kick. Like, they're just dangerous.
Those knees.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
These are nasty.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not the biggest Suga fan as well, but you got to respect what he did in there. And about the next fight, I mean, I think the problem with the call out to Ilia, like you said, we all want to see that fight, especially after last night, seeing how good his striking is and it's actually improved. But the problem is the bantamweight division is probably one of the best divisions right now, in my opinion. And so just doing one title defense is just not enough for me to want to see him fight someone in a division above that. There's so much talent in the bantamweight division, and maybe it's just because I like Merab as a person and a fighter that I want to see that fight. But I mean, I feel like it's hard not to want to see that fight just a little more, just because the bantamweight division is so good, and Merab put on some great performances his last few fights. It would be a good matchup too. A really good grappler that has a lot of stamina versus a striker who has a lot of stamina, and like a 5-round fight. I mean, that's like a perfect matchup, perfect martial arts matchup. So I would love to see that fight, and then maybe after that, if Sean wins, okay, he can fight Ilya. But just based off how the bantamweight division is, I mean, you got to keep rolling in that. And also, Ilya has only had one title defense as well. Like, I want to see maybe another, let them each get 1 or 2 more defenses in, and then you fight each other. Like, that should be, like Brad said, the mandatory 3 fights, and then you can go on and defend your belt or go chase another belt somewhere else. So that's kind of my opinion on it. But I'll always be there for a Suga fight. As much as I don't like him as a person, like, I'm going to be watching. So if it is Ilya, I'll be excited. I'll be a little disappointed that boy Merab didn't get the chance.
Was that the first fight where the fans booed O'Malley during the walkout and the press conference leading up to it and everything? That was the first time where he's gotten booed.
Yeah.
And that goes
They were singing his song. That was about it. They were singing his song, and then they started booing him. But that's like, Miami's a huge pro Latin American crowd. Like, you got a bunch of people from Ecuador were there, a bunch of people from Colombia, Cuba, because of Robelis to Spain. Made his debut, deaded that poor dude in like 18 seconds, Josh Parisian. But like, one thing I will say about O'Malley, I love what he's doing. He looks crazy in there with his knees and the way he's setting up his stuff. He's staying away from people. But when people get close, up in that boxing range, I noticed Chito caught him a couple times. He did catch him a couple times. That's where Pyetr Jan dropped, Sean, is with the boxing in close. So I'm just shooting a little MMA math. I mean, Ilya deaded a person who dropped Islam up a weight class. So the one thing, that's why it's such an intriguing matchup, is could Ilya just close the distance and just get in there and pound away? I don't know if he's got too much power for him. That's why it's fascinating. But moving on down the card a little bit, we got truly the banger of the night. After this fight finished, this is Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Denis. I literally wanted to get a tribal tattoo and just put "Just Bleed" on my forehead, start screaming, dude, pounding Bud Lights and just dropping for gillies. It was incredible. That fight right there just got everybody out of their seat. People were going insane. They were running out of the bar and running around the building in circles. They went apeshit. That finish was brutal, and it just ultimately it looked like Benoit was just like an ogre. He was just like walking forward like a zombie. And he was too quick to it, man. Fighting off the back foot, Dustin is intense. And what's weird right now is they just did that on Instagram where Dana was standing there with Islam, and Islam was like, "I'm ready for my next victim," or "I'm ready to be fed my next victim." I wonder if after this fight, he's looking at chop and go, maybe we get Dustin in there, which I don't totally love because I feel like Dustin is very susceptible to Islam's game. But I'm not mad at Islam, in fighting so Dustin gets another huge fight and gets paid out. I just don't know if I need to see that as a title defense. I don't know if I see more of like an action fight for Dustin. What do we feel like's next for him?
I mean, first off, let's not forget we have Oliveira and Gaethje. Gaethje just knocked out Poirier. Oliveira, of course, he's getting his title shot here soon. But man, Poirier, he won the fight, but he was close to getting finished a few times. He was close. And I know, like he says, I'm going to keep spamming guillotines. Okay, you can keep spamming them. You got lucky you won this fight. If you did win this fight, you would be saying that, So you can look back and say, I'm always going to do that. That's how I fight. Okay, well, you won the fight because you got lucky with the left hook or a right hook. But if you didn't get lucky and catch him with that shot and you were against the cage and you got TKO'd, you would not be saying the same thing about your guillotines. So it's whatever. Yeah. But I think he's getting old. What, 38? He's 37, but he's getting
somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think he's. I don't know, man. It's tough to say. He's top 5 now. I think it's like number 6 before this fight, maybe. I'm not sure, but yeah, Gaethje Oliveira deserved it first, and then of course once those two guys get their shot, whoever's there at the top, if they beat Islam or whatever, we'll see, man. I don't know what's next for Poirier. I think he's going to be a big, more like money fights rather than title shots.
Be safer for him, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super happy for Dustin, but part of me is like, who's he gonna fight next? It's just the typical lightweight recycle where they keep fighting each other. And I was super excited to see Benoit come up, a new up and coming guy, title challenger. So as I am happy for Dustin, I'm a little disappointed, just for the division's sake. And I don't know if you guys saw this morning that Benoit said that he had staph infection. They were showing that thing on his forehead. So he said he was like pretty drained throughout the week from taking the antibiotics. So I'm not gonna lie, I kind of believe him because he did look pretty drained, but he's also pinning down Dustin for a round and a half, 2 rounds. So that could wear you out too. I don't know. But yeah, I think money fights is probably the best bet for Dustin. And then if he gets lucky, maybe with some injuries, maybe if it just works out right, he can get a title shot. I'm not saying I'm not gonna look forward to that. I don't know.
It depends.
The other guys I want to see.
Sarukian might spoil everybody's party too. That's another problem. Is Sarukian is like Gamrot if Gamrot wasn't so boring that he burns the filament off your eyes. Which maybe Dustin. Can we feed maybe Gamrot to Dustin? Dustin, can you please knock him out, please? Dustin, can you do it? Can somebody do it? Because Rafael dos Anjos almost did it last night. He almost knocked him out in the first round. I said, "Oh my god." It was incredible. Rafael looked great, man. His body looked good, even at his age. He looks good at 155, but it was just he got run ragged by Gamrot, right? Last night. That was a tough one. But in the main card, this is one pick that did pay, thankfully. Saved our butts a little bit, little redemption arc on our best bets. But we had Michael Venom Page making his UFC debut, long awaited, at the age of now 37, which is kind of sad because I would have loved to have seen more years out of him here. But he fought Kevin Holland, which I would like to start. Okay, pull up the pulpit for the hating. Okay. We need to get some sort of, I guess, like a petition going to get Kevin Holland removed from MMA forever. This guy he basically is sparring and then is literally getting just tuned up by every single shot he gets hit with and then starts taunting and making it seem like the other guy's not engaging. All right. Okay. So we did the Brunson thing where Brunson's on top of him, smashing him for 5 rounds. And he's talking to DC about like, God knows what, right? He was rapping to DC outside the cage. It's always this thing of like, I hate to say this, it feels like hardcore coping. He's always copage, hardcore copium. And it's in the middle of this fight where, listen, he had advantages that he could have pushed. There are moments where Venom Page looked scared for a second when he was on his back. He was getting pounded out with those elbows. He was like, oh boy, this is not what I expected. He's a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger than I thought. But I just feel like Kevin Holland, man, he keeps getting into these fights. Jack Della Madalena, same thing. It feels like he's sparring. It feels like he's just touch. He's talking. He's too calm in there. There's such a thing as being really calm and relaxed. And then there's also just being like laissez-faire, like, who cares? I don't care what happens. But like, you've got to, man. I mean, people are paying to watch these fights. Now, I understand he got a big bag by agreeing to fight Khamzat on short notice, but I don't know. I just feel like it's time for him to get serious because it's like you said, Simon, last night. He's got massive potential. We just don't see it enough.
Yeah.
It's hard.
How many times have we said this, though? I think we've covered maybe 4 or 5 Kevin Holland fights, and we've said that every time that, oh, this is his time to show us what he's got. He's been slacking his last few fights, and he has a ton of potential. We need to see his potential come out in these fights, and it hasn't happened yet, except Michael Chiesa. But I don't know. Michael Chiesa is at the end of his career. I don't want to say that's really that impressive, to be honest. It's impressive that he submitted him, but that was the first glimpse we saw of Kevin. Okay, like he might be getting serious. Like we need to see him go against a better opponent. But even like you said last night, it's like he keeps going, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or 2 steps back, just like going back and forth this whole time.
1 step forward, 3 steps back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no,
that was last night.
Yeah, I think last night he had a different look in his eyes. He looked serious when the fight started. He looked focused. I think he looked scared, to be honest with you. He couldn't joke around in the octagon with MVP. He did zero joking around, zero trash talking, like no jokes. Like he looked like he had fear in his eyes. After the first round, he went to his corner. I'm sure you heard this. I don't know if you did, Alex.
He's awful fast.
He says, I hear you, but he's faster than we thought. And for Kevin Holland to say that with a straight face is pretty mind-blowing. That's not his style. So I think last night, he MVP, his range was so good and so perfect, he couldn't close the distance and connect on a shot. MVP would be so far back and boom, just dart in. Like, I don't know how he does. He's like a magician. And like Kevin Holland had no answer for it. He couldn't get close. He couldn't connect with much, partly because he threw one shot combinations. He wasn't following up with multiple shots. So you do one or two and then back off. And you're not going to connect with someone who's that far off and their range is that good. So he just got outclassed, definitely the striking. He had that one moment where he got him to the ground, and then just MVP just got up, like you said earlier. They just said, all right, enough of this. Let me get back to my feet and keep, touching you up. So MVP, man, that's probably my favorite fighter right now. Like, I don't have favorite fighters, but he might be, like, stylistically and how fun he is to watch. He's a bad dude. He's going out there to hurt somebody, and like those elbows he was throwing too. Bro, he's so dangerous. I love watching this guy. I've never seen a fight before. I did no research on this guy in Bellator. So that was the first time seeing him fight. Holy cow.
Listen to all these injuries that he's put on people. So
I saw that.
Oh my God. He got Evangelista Cyborg Santos's skull indented with a knee.
Yeah.
He separated the patella off of somebody's leg. I forget which fighter that was. That was Brendan. I forget who it was. He snapped another guy's nose completely opposite side of his face. But like, the only thing is the age, which to me, for UFC, like, I don't need to see. Like, right now, I'll be honest, just like they did with Alex Pereira, we don't need to see him work through like 6-7 guys through the division. Let's just move it. I think they should move the chains. The next fight is fight night, main card. They should main event. Should be
Steven Thompson
right here. Yep. Bonseckers. Let's go to Greenville.
Get Steven out of there. He's too old.
Yeah. Wonder Boy versus MVP. It's time.
this summer, fight night.
That'd be amazing.
Wonder Boy would be in the shadow realm.
You think so?
I don't know, dude.
100%.
It's a great fight.
So overrated, man. Honestly, he's a nice guy. He's so overrated. He used to be.
You're tired of the nice guy act, man.
Bro, he's so overrated. He's not dangerous to me. Like, he beat Kevin Holland, but
how about this?
Come on.
Ian Gary and MVP.
Oh,
I want to see that.
Ian Gary would never accept that. Ian Gary would never accept that fight.
Wow. You think
I like that matchup because
I love that matchup.
Right.
That's an incredible matchup.
Oh no, he's Irish. That's right.
Oh man, what a fight that would be! Holy cow!
Yeah. But there's options. Wow. And we're excited about the division. Like, for a while, 170 was starting to be like, we were like, okay, which guy is going to try to grab onto Leon's leg for 5 rounds? Like, that's, no hate on anybody, but I don't want to see that stuff too much. So, I want to see some more striking, especially with somebody like Leon, the champ. Speaking of people holding on to things a little bit too long, we're going to do a quick wrap up of some of the other fights on this card. On the lower end, the prelim, I think, closer was Jailton Almeida versus Curtis Blaydes. Curtis Blaydes had a lot of patience. He got taken down a lot and smothered. But Jailton was doing this thing, guys, like he did with Derek Lewis, where he's like in a beautiful position, not landing elbows, not landing anything meaningful. He wasn't putting it on him. So Curtis Blaydes, you cannot let him stay in the fight, dude. He's too big. He's too strong. He's got power, dude. And he's right up against the fence. You're salty?
I'm salty about that. That was the best bet, man. In the first round, he dominated. Okay. He dominated position-wise. He did no damage, had no threat. It was a book pack on Curtis Blaydes' back. Doing no damage, no threats, no rear naked chokes, nothing. The second round, he goes for a single leg and just gets stuck and doesn't want to get out, I guess. I don't know.
Very strange.
He just wants to stay there and ridiculous.
The craziest part to me was how Curtis Blaydes mentioned how they basically planned for that, for him to put his stomach over his head and make it so he couldn't get up. Do you guys believe that, or you think he was just saying that?
No, I believe it, dude. He was going into good detail. Yeah, I mean, he said when he shoots, his head's down, it's not up. Sees where the head goes, the body goes, which is very true. It's what they teach you in Jiu-Jitsu 101. It's like, so it's, I mean, it was an easy game plan. It's surprising as that sounds. Like, this time they had an answer for him, and it worked.
Yeah. There was a time when Travis Brown, Ronda Rousey's husband now, he retired from the UFC, but he used to be a heavyweight in the UFC, 6'7". And he did this thing, man. Anyone who's a fan or a new fan, go back and just watch his highlights on YouTube, I'm sure, a million places. Josh Barnett, great heavyweight, shoots a single just that same way, but he's a little bit lazy about it, leaves his head in there. Travis pushes the head down and starts to just palm elbows and knocks him clean out from that same position. And it's just, I don't know what it is. Some of these people are like hardcore grapplers. I think they're so in that zone of feeling safe. They're like,
I think it's
okay
easy
here. Yeah. It's like, you're not okay, dude.
It goes
He's
back
had
to
two
training,
fights where it's
probably.
been super easy for him. He's going to think it's going to, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And then boom, comes out of nowhere.
And I'm sure when he's training wrestling, not wrestling and striking like a full sparring match. So when you're wrestling, you can sit there for a few seconds and take your time. But if you're in a fight, they're going to throw elbows, punches. Like, you're not just going to have your sweet time to grab a single leg and pause for a little bit.
Check your
I don't know.
texts.
I'm salty about it. It was my best bet, and it didn't work out. But next fight, Pyetr Yan, Yadong, real quick. We touched on it earlier. Pyetr Yan looked good. Didn't look great, in my opinion. I think he needs probably 2 more fights before he gets a title shot again. What are your thoughts on that?
Slow starting, as always.
Yeah. Apparently he said he hurt his leg. Like Alex Volkanovski tweeted that, hey, I saw you hurt your leg. That's why you were a little slow off the bat. And Pyetr Yan's like, good eyes. So hey, I don't know exactly what the injury was, but yeah, it was a very slow start. And I think as the fight went on, I was a little more impressed with him. It kind of looked like the old Pyetr Yan was coming back, but it took forever for that to happen. And Yadong just gave him so many opportunities as well. So I don't know if it was just Yadong just progressively getting worse and unexperienced, or was it actually Yan just he's better? So I don't know. I guess we'll find out in the next fight.
Yeah, it's hard to age in the 135-pound division. And I really think it's just, that's what we're kind of seeing. And I think he's so talented that he's going to stave off Father Time for a couple more years. But he's one of those guys, man. And it's like right now, I don't think as the sport progresses, I hate to say this, I don't think we're going to see a lot of the GOATs that go on until they're like 40 and stuff and keep holding on. Everyone's so damn good. It's like even Sean O'Malley, say what you want, man. He's so good and advanced. Like he's a different guy than the guy that fought Pyetr Yan. He's much better. So if Pyetr Yan goes in the same way, it ain't going to work.
And that's the same as Gilbert Burns we saw last night as well.
Yeah, we'll touch on that. We'll
Yeah,
go ahead and
that's
touch on
right.
that now.
Yeah,
That's the last one.
That was my best bet.
Yeah.
I was very disappointed in that one. It was working exactly how I thought it would work out. He just got caught lacking, dude. He wasn't paying attention. He let him get up. Boom, knee right to the
Gilbert Burns,
face.
probably
Late stoppage, by the way, too. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I was happy about it. I gave him
I'm playing.
Yeah.
He had money on the bet like you, Simon.
Yeah,
So
I was like, get up.
Are you
grab
sure
his
you're out?
leg. I was like, please, Gilbert, just grab his leg. Like you're winning the scorecards. And he was. We saw the judge scorecard came out. He was going to win the fight. That's fighting, dude.
Yeah. But no, I think he's the best grappler, arguably, outside of Oliveira. And the UFC is the jiu-jitsu world champion like 4 times. And you're on top of Jack Della Madalena, and you can't hold him there for 3 more minutes. Come on, dude. You're the best jiu-jitsu guy in the UFC, apparently. You got to be able to hold someone down for 3 minutes to win the fight.
He's aging, though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That one hurt. That one
I don't
might,
even know what to say. That
one might do some damage. That was a tough knockout. That was a big knee. I don't know what's next for him. That's going to take some.
He was crying with RoboCop after the fight. I think he knows that. I think the number one thing is that title chances are pretty much slim to none. I mean, that's basically out of the picture. He probably has a few fights left in him, but
super fights in jiu-jitsu. There's nothing wrong with that. You have that skill set, man. Go back to it. Fight to win, Polaris, with the UFC Invitational. There's all these events. Like you can still be a coach. You can go to Kill Cliff and do all this. You don't have to just like fight. You know what I mean? He could do something else. I just hope he understands that. It's like Tony Ferguson. Don't be selfish, dude. You don't have to get pounded into the factory. You know what I mean?
When you go from fighting for the UFC belt, fighting Masvidal, you can't go back to like some basic jiu-jitsu competition. That's like going from a Lamborghini to a Honda Civic. Like
to IBJJF again.
You see Burns at IBJJF at your local tournament in Florida.
Yeah.
Right? Nah, I think he's got a couple fights in him. I don't know about going. He could do jiu-jitsu in like the meet, like in between those last 2 fights he has in him.
Kamzat rematch. I don't know.
Oh no!
Get murked.
No, I already saw it.
Totally murked.
I think it's time for the episode to end after that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Jesus.
Yeah.
No.
Is there anything else you guys want to touch on before we close out? Those couple of things.
Macy Barber looked great. I'm glad she won.
She's a dog.
The dog.
did.
We saw Joanna
got me
get
barking.
inducted in the Hall of Fame. Oh, watch out, Brad.
Ben was, Brad was barking throughout the fight.
That's Future Bay. Future Bay. No, but we've seen a lot of good movement, though. We saw Robelis make a huge statement in his first fight in the UFC. He'll be a force to watch at heavyweight, but overall, I think we just wanted to give a quick shout out to we've seen a really big uptick in viewership and also subscribers on our channel. And we're really excited to have everybody on board. So we thank every one of you guys for clicking the subscribe button, for continuing to tune in. We're going to do our best to keep on putting out consistent content for you guys. There'll also be some best bets coming out for the upcoming card. Anything that you wanted to wrap up with before we're out of here?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for everybody, especially if you're watching this. The watch times have gone up a lot. So we know you guys are actually watching these thoroughly, and most of you guys are watching these till the end. So if you're watching, make sure you subscribe. A lot of people who watch our videos actually aren't subscribed. So if you're watching this, make sure to subscribe, like, comment what you guys thought about last night's card. And if you agree with any of the takes we had, if you have any different takes, let us know. And also let us know what you guys want to see. I know you guys mentioned something about, us previewing the full cards eventually. So if you want to see us preview full pay-per-view cards or even fight night cards in the future, let us know. But that pretty much does it for us. Like I said, make sure to